Have you ever just stopped and noticed how incredibly fast everything seems to be changing? Especially, when it comes to our careers, our workplaces.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
really feels like what we learned, maybe even just yesterday, it might not be enough for tomorrow. The skills that got us here, they aren't necessarily uh, the ones that will get us where we need to go next.
It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can feel pretty overwhelming for a lot of us.
Mm.
But there's this really powerful idea emerging for how to handle it all.
Which
Well,
is,
this cycle, this transformative cycle of unlearning and relearning.
right, unlearning and relearning, that sounds critical. And that's exactly what we want to dive into today.
Hmm.
Our mission really is to unpack what that actually means. Why has it become such a game changer, for your career and for companies trying to stay ahead?
And the hurdles, too. What makes it so hard sometimes?
Exactly. The surprising challenges you might hit when you try to unlearn. And most importantly, we want to offer some concrete strategies, real world examples maybe, to help you actually master this skill.
Yeah, good plan. And we've pulled together insights from quite a few places for this dive.
We're looking at career development experts, stuff from leading business schools, psychological research, and some really fascinating corporate case studies too.
So, okay, to really get why this cycle's becoming so urgent, we kind of need to face the world we're in right now.
Uh-huh.
Academics have this term for it, VUCA.
VUCA.
Right,
Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous.
that's the one. And the key thing is the speed and the complexity of change. They're just ramping up like exponentially across pretty much every industry you can think of.
And that's not just theory, is it? For many of us, that's just daily life. What parts of this VUCA thing do you think are really pushing this need to unlearn?
It seems particularly tough for, say, anyone over 35.
Yeah.
The education they got prepared them for a kind of work that maybe doesn't even exist anymore or is just completely different.
You're spot on. The acceleration is, you feel it. Traditional career paths, they're being totally reshaped or just disappearing. But, this isn't entirely brand new.
Way back, like in the 60s and 70s, the futurist Alvin Toffler, he famously said something like, "The illiterate of the 21st century won't be those who can't read and write."
But those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Yeah, I know that quote.
It's incredible how relevant it still is, isn't it, decades later? It's like a wake-up call for adapting what we know.
It really is. Okay, so if that's the backdrop, what skills are actually in demand now? And looking ahead, LinkedIn Learning put out a list for 2024.
I saw that.
Top 10 were things like communication, customer service, leadership, project management, management, analytics, teamwork, sales, problem solving, and research. Pretty standard stuff, maybe.
Well, yes and no, because what's really striking is that the same article called out adaptability as the #1 skill right now, the single top skill.
Adaptability. Okay.
And if you zoom out a bit and pull together a broader list of skills that seem like they'll be needed, indefinitely, you see things like communication, problem solving, critical thinking,
Adaptability again.
adaptability, emotional intelligence, teamwork and collaboration, time management, leadership, initiative, learning agility, that's a big one, digital literacy, and creativity and innovation.
What strikes me there is how many of those aren't about what you know, technically.
Exactly. It's about how you engage with knowledge, how you deal with change.
Which kind of brings us to this idea of really revolutionizing your approach. There's that great quote from business professor Orrin Harari.
Oh, the candle one.
Yeah. The electric light never came from the continuous improvement of candles. Such a powerful way to put it.
It is.
But it also sounds really hard. How do we even start? How do individuals or whole companies figure out what their candles are? Those old assumptions or ways of doing things that might be holding them back.
And that's precisely where this cycle learn, unlearn, relearn comes in. It gives us a framework. So let's break it down. First, you've got learn. Pretty straightforward, right? Getting new knowledge, new skills, study, experience, teaching. When you learn, your brain actually builds new connections, new neural pathways, like creating new roads for information. And it's lifelong, always happening.
Okay, learn. Got it. Then comes unlearn. This is where it gets interesting and maybe uncomfortable.
Definitely. This is about actively letting go.
Mm-hmm.
Old habits, beliefs, ideas, even stuff you thought was totally correct but isn't useful anymore.
Yeah.
It's not about forgetting everything.
Right.
It's more like questioning, challenging, taking things apart, reframing them. You're basically making space for something new, adapting to what's changed, clearing out the mental clutter, you could say.
Cleaning the attic. I like that. Okay, and then the third part,
Relearn. So this is learning something again, but often in a new way, or maybe building on the bits that are still relevant. Think of it like a big software update for your brain.
Oh, okay.
You're rewiring those pathways, building new connections, really using your brain's amazing ability to change its plasticity.
So learn, unlearn, relearn. When you put it all together like that, it really highlights unlearning, doesn't it? It feels like the crucial step, the gatekeeper.
It absolutely is. It's critical because it frees you up from what's holding you back.
Hmm.
It's like a silent disruptor. You almost have to unlearn effectively before you can truly absorb the new stuff.
Because your brain can only hold so much. You need to make space.
Exactly. Your capacity isn't infinite, so this cleanup is essential. Otherwise, you just get bogged down by outdated info and you can't properly take in what's current.
Makes sense. So let's talk benefits. If we actually manage to embrace this cycle, what's the payoff? Personally, professional.
Oh, the benefits are huge.
Yeah.
Really far-reaching. On a personal level, for growth and authenticity, unlearning pushes you to see new perspectives. It sharpens your critical thinking, makes you more resilient.
How so?
Well, it's kind of a journey into self-curiosity. It helps you connect with who you really are, move beyond thinking everything's just black and white. And interestingly, it can even help heal old emotional stuff. Yeah, by letting go of things like shame, guilt, judgment. Those corrosive emotions often tied to old beliefs or experiences we need to unlearn.
Wow, okay. And then thinking more practically, career-wise.
Huge impact there.
Yeah.
Mastering this cycle boosts your adaptability, your employability. It keeps your skills relevant when industries are being turned upside down by tech like automation and AI.
The numbers back that up, right? I think I saw something from the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, they estimated something like up to half of all employees will need reskilling by 2025. That's staggering.
It is. And something like 87% of workers already feel they need new expertise.
So it's not just a nice to have anymore. It's basically a survival skill for your career.
What about for companies, for organizations?
Well, companies that really build this unlearning mindset, they're just much better at navigating change, adapting, avoiding getting stuck in the past. It clears out that mental clutter across the whole organization.
Create space for new ideas.
Exactly. It allows them to pivot faster, achieve results they might have thought were impossible before. Real transformation.
There's another benefit too, right? Something about mental bandwidth.
Yes, that's a powerful one. When you intentionally let go of outdated habits or beliefs, you actually free up cognitive resources. You reduce your mental load.
Which everyone needs these days.
Totally. And that freed up bandwidth lets you focus your attention on what's relevant now, the skills that actually drive performance today. This is super critical in fast-moving fields like tech, healthcare, finance, where yesterday's best practice is already today's liability.
Okay, so the benefits are clear. It's
Yeah.
essential, but it's not easy.
Not at all. Let's be honest, navigating the obstacles to unlearning, it's tough. It's often deeply uncomfortable. It can even feel threatening
Threatening, why?
because it challenges your identity,
Right.
your sense of competence. I was good at that, now you want me to do this. It takes real mental agility, lots of practice, and just time. You have to be willing to sit with that discomfort.
Let's dig into some specific barriers. On the individual level, one big one is mindset, isn't it? Fixed versus growth.
Absolutely. A fixed mindset is a huge roadblock.
Yeah.
Resistance to learning new things, avoiding challenges because you're scared of failing.
Seeing criticism as an attack.
Right. Feeling threatened when others succeed. It's all about protecting a fixed sense of ability. Whereas a growth mindset, that's about embracing challenges, seeing effort as the path to mastery, learning from criticism. It's that I can't yet attitude.
That makes a huge difference. What about limiting beliefs?
Oh, yeah, those are powerful too. Think about someone, let's call her Andre, who's just convinced she's terrible at math.
Okay.
That belief, it's a form of confirmation bias. She'll interpret every little struggle with numbers as proof she's right. And that becomes a massive barrier if she suddenly needs to develop skills in, say, data analytics. She's already decided she can't do it.
We all have those Andrea moments, I guess. Things we tell ourselves we're just not good at. I know I've had them.
You do.
There was another interesting barrier mentioned in the sources. Something about I don't like you resistance.
Ah, right. Rick Marer's idea. It's that sometimes people resist a change not because they disagree with the change itself or don't understand it,
But because
but because they don't trust, or maybe just don't like, the person or the company pushing the change. It's about the relationship, the trust factor.
That's huge. How do you build that trust when you're asking people to do something uncomfortable like unlearning?
That's a critical question. And layered on top of that, you've got just plain emotional responses.
Mhm.
People feel a sense of loss, sometimes even grief. When routines get disrupted, they're letting go of the familiar.
And fear of failure, you mentioned that.
Big one. If you don't feel confident you can adapt, you resist the change to protect yourself from feeling incompetent.
And then there are just habits, things we do on autopilot.
Exactly. Habits are wired into our brains through repetition. They're incredibly efficient, but also incredibly hard to break consciously.
Okay, so those are individual struggles. What about the organizations themselves? How do they get in the way of unlearning? Sometimes it feels like it starts at the top.
Often it does. Leaders aren't immune to fixed mindsets. Their own neural pathways can get pretty rigid over time. They develop a specific way of seeing the world.
Tunnel vision.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Plus, the constant pressure for immediate results, jam-packed schedules.
Yeah.
There's often just no time for deep reflection, for really considering problems from new angles.
And sometimes their own training is outdated, right?
Yeah, definitely. Assumptions about leadership might be based on models from decades ago, even 19th century ideas sometimes. That creates really rigid practices.
And what about ego and how companies reward people?
Big factors. The desire to always be right, to look like you have all the answers. That works against unlearning. And if the corporate structure mainly rewards sticking to the status quo or hitting very specific short-term targets,
Like the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis.
that's a stark example, yeah. A singular focus on certain rewards can have massive unintended consequences and discourage questioning the system. It creates barriers to engaging with uncertainty.
There's also just a basic human thing, isn't there? We don't love risk.
Right. Lack of curiosity, risk aversion.
Yeah.
We generally prefer predictable outcomes. So exploring totally new ideas, embracing experimentation, that feels inherently risky.
And finally, just the weight of culture, the way things have always been done.
Exactly. Entrenched organizational culture and norms can be a huge source of resistance. If the culture values stability above all else or discourages dissent, accepting new ways becomes almost impossible. And if unlearning gets blocked consistently, it can lead to what some call cultural pathology. The organization becomes fundamentally unhealthy.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a clear picture of the challenges, both personal and organizational. Now, for the important part, how do we actually tackle them? Let's start with strategies for individuals.
Right, where do you begin? The absolute first step, the crucial one, is simply admitting the need.
Just acknowledging it.
Yeah, being honest with yourself that the old ways might not be working anymore for your career. You have to genuinely open your mind to the possibility of change. Without that acceptance, nothing else really follows.
Okay, so step one, be open. Then what?
Then you need to actively challenge your own status quo. How do you do that? Well, you could seek out feedback on your own processes. Ask colleagues, how could I do this differently?
Or even ask new hires, right? They have fresh eyes.
Great idea. They often spot things ingrained habits make invisible to us. Next, you need to embrace experimentation.
Trying things out.
Exactly. Don't just stop doing the old thing. Actively test new approaches. Maybe try some self-paced online learning. Or if you can, use tools like VR or AI simulations. These create safer spaces to be curious, to try and fail without big consequences. It's about trying new things on for size.
I like that. What else?
Leverage what you already know. Practice transferring your existing skills to new areas. Like, if you're good at budgeting at home, how can you apply those principles to a business budget?
Or understanding your car dashboard helps you figure out another vehicle's controls.
Precisely. You're building mental bridges. And it sounds basic, but exercise your brain. Keep learning. Keep challenging yourself. It literally keeps those neural pathways flexible, promotes that plasticity we talked about, keeps your learning engine tuned up.
How can we make the unlearning part itself easier
This year.
or more effective?
Good question. Enhance the unlearning experience. Make specific time for reflection. Maybe have small group discussions where you can talk through challenges safely. Use prompts to really push your thinking.
Prompts
Like asking yourself, what evidence might make me question my current view? What assumptions have I made here? How would a new approach affect the people around me? And critically, what new possibilities might open up if I let go of this old belief?
those are powerful questions. They force you to deconstruct things.
They do. And finally, to strengthen the relearning tactics, play to your strengths.
How do you mean?
Well, if you're naturally an analytical thinker, maybe you research what experts recommend. If you like structure, set a strict practice schedule. If you're social, Find a mentor or join a study group.
If you're conceptual, set up little experiments. If expressive, maybe journal about your progress or get an accountability partner.
Exactly. If assertive, set your own pace. If flexible, focus on lots of repetition and maybe have backup plans. It's about tailoring the how of relearning to you.
That makes so much sense. Okay, shifting gears now to organizations. How can companies foster a culture where all this is possible?
It really has to start with the leaders. They absolutely must lead by example. They need to be open about their own unlearning, show vulnerability, demonstrate they're embracing new ideas. That sets the tone for everyone else. It signals that it's okay, even necessary, to evolve.
And creating safety is key, right?
Absolutely critical. Create a safe environment. Spaces where employees feel genuinely safe to voice doubts, to experiment, even to fail fast without getting blamed. They need reassurance that psychological safety is prioritized over avoiding disruption. That safety allows for the critical reflection needed to rethink old ways. It's foundational.
Organizations also need to provide the practical stuff, offer comprehensive training and resources.
Right. Robust onboarding, ongoing reskilling and upskilling programs. Things like self-help resources, good documentation, office hours, maybe digital adoption platforms that offer in-app guidance, and of course, allocating the necessary tools and budget. Learning needs support. It can't just be an unfunded mandate.
And communication's huge here, too.
Massive. Encourage open communication and feedback. Foster real conversation, not just leaders talking at employees. Develop a communication plan that clearly answers what's in it for me and what does this mean to me.
IFM and WDAMT.
Exactly. Use regular employee surveys, check-ins, and importantly, recognize and celebrate the small wins along the way. That builds momentum and shows progress.
What about the skills themselves? You mentioned soft skills earlier.
Yeah, organizations need to emphasize soft skills development. Double down on training for emotional intelligence, inclusivity, better communication, promoting well-being. Google's Project Oxygen showed just how vital these are, especially now with hybrid and remote work. These are the human skills AI can't just replace.
And learning from each other.
Definitely. Leverage peer learning and collaboration. Set up cross-functional teams. Use virtual platforms for knowledge sharing. Encourage regular sessions where teams can just talk about challenges and successes with new approaches. Learning together accelerates everything.
And avoid the cookie-cutter approach.
Please. Tailored learning programs are much more effective. Design programs that actually address individual needs, capacities, goals. Make the learning relevant and personal, and people will be way more motivated.
Technology must play a role here, too.
For sure. Utilize technology for learning. Invest in modern digital learning platforms. They offer flexibility, accessibility. Use features like AI for personalization, maybe gamified modules to make it engaging, VR for safe practice. Tech can make learning more efficient and effective.
But people need time, right? You can't just pile training on top of an overloaded job.
Crucial point. Balance training with workload. The workload has to allow for effective unlearning and relearning. If people don't have time to practice or they're just swamped, they won't engage properly. They won't successfully adopt the new skills. You need to create the space.
And finally, how we react when things don't go perfectly.
So important. Celebrate failure and acknowledge efforts. Foster a culture where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities, not disasters. Give constructive feedback. Acknowledge how hard it can be to change habits. Recognize the effort people are putting in. That courage to unlearn deserves real recognition.
Okay, that's a lot of great strategy. Let's make it more concrete with some real-world examples. Who's actually done this well?
Siemens comes to mind with their digital transformation. When the pandemic hit, they had to pivot fast. They rolled out digital learning platforms really quickly, used AI for personalization, interactive content.
Stuff they might have thought was unthinkable before.
Exactly. And the result? Big jump in engagement efficiency. Their U.S. CEO, Barbara Humpton, talked about how it actually enhanced their learning programs globally. That was a massive unlearning of old training methods.
What about Google? You mentioned Project Oxygen.
Right, Google's Project Oxygen reinvention. They'd already shown how important soft skills were for managers. Post-pandemic, they doubled down, reinforced that training, added more frequent feedback loops. It measurably improved manager effectiveness and well-being, especially in the new remote hybrid world. That was unlearning the tech skills are everything idea.
Pfizer, during the vaccine race.
Yeah, Pfizer's vaccine acceleration. They used a really innovative peer learning approach.
Yeah.
Got cross-functional teams collaborating intensely on virtual platforms. It massively sped up development, led to breakthroughs. They basically unlearned siloed R&D in favor of rapid collaborative relearning.
Then there's Wells Fargo's Agile Shift. The EVP, Cecil Tabley-Watson, she ditched the old, slow project approach,
Hmm.
focused instead on solving problems quickly with clear outcomes. Her small team got a paycheck protection program service up in days. Days. Something unthinkable a year before. That's pure unlearning of bureaucracy.
And American Airlines, shifting from big bang projects, VP Stephen Leist pushed for starting small, targeting specific customer groups.
And they got results, right? Like thousands of contactless kiosks rolled out in weeks.
Yeah, 2,100 kiosks and 230 airports in 6 weeks. Touchless check-ins jumped 145%. Website releases went from twice a month to 40 in 3 weeks. That's unlearning the go big or go home mentality, relearning the power of iteration.
There's the classic IBM turnaround in the 90s, too.
Classic example. Facing crisis, they had to unlearn their old insular ways. Embraced open standards, shifted focus to services, completely reorganized. Painful but necessary unlearning of their core business model.
And the flip side, the cautionary tale.
Has to be Blockbuster versus Netflix. Blockbuster just couldn't unlearn its attachment to physical stores to the old rental model. They couldn't adapt.
While Netflix was constantly unlearning, right? From DVDs, by mail, to streaming, to making their own content.
Exactly. Constantly redefining themselves. It's a stark reminder of what happens if you don't unlearn.
So looking ahead then, what does the future of workplace training look like if this cycle is central?
Well, AI is going to be huge. Not just automating tasks, but really augmenting human capabilities in learning and development. It can handle needs analysis, organize plans, freeing up HR folks for more strategic work. It's reshaping roles, boosting learning capacity.
And personalization seems key too.
Absolutely. We're moving away from one-size-fits-all. Personalized learning experiences are gaining huge momentum. Using digital tech to tailor content, delivery, pace, making it fit the individual learner's needs, style, preferences. That's a direct result of unlearning the old mass production model of training.
Which all circles back to this idea of lifelong learning.
It's not just a nice phrase anymore. It's a necessary way of life, as you said, because change is constant. Karl Mathman put it well. The job of the post-industrial is to unlearn, to update their knowledge systems in terms of the emerging now.
So unlearning really is the key that unlocks the door to the future.
I think so. It enables that continuous adaptation, that sustained relevance and employability in a world that just won't stand still.
Okay, so wrapping this up for everyone listening, what's the main takeaway? It really feels like unlearning and relearning aren't optional anymore. Not nice to haves.
No, they're fundamental imperatives, both for your own career path and for any organization that wants to actually succeed long-term in this rapidly changing world.
So maybe a final thought, a challenge for you listening. What's one thing, one long-held belief, maybe a strategy you rely on, or just a comfortable old habit that you might need to actively question right now, to consciously let go of, to unlearn? What could you shed to make that mental space for a real breakthrough for innovation in your own work or life?
That's the challenge. Actively look for chances to engage in this cycle. Learn, unlearn, relearn every day in your career.
Because mastering this process, that's how you won't just adapt to the future.
Right. It's how you'll actually help shape it.